Hello everyone, I hope you have seen the mains essay paper that has already been conducted for 2023. If you haven't seen it as of yet, I do suggest that see it for sure. Also, make sure that you watch our analysis that has already been done by Jawad sir. At 4 p.m. you will find it in the live category. Okay, so without any further delay, I would like to tell you that I am going to cover many important topics for today. Also, from the perspective of both prelims and mains, it is important that you become a part of this class on a regular basis. Do not worry about making notes because I provide the PDF on my Telegram channel that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, you can also talk to me on my Instagram. So these are the many events that we have to cover today. First of all, let's talk about the practice question that I gave you to solve. Also, I would like to ask you to please comment in the comment segment. Even if you think that you are doing it incorrectly, you will learn from the comment segment as well. Okay, so consider the following: carbon capture and storage, solar radiation modification, ecosystem based mitigation. How many of the above are the approaches for removing excessive greenhouse gases from the atmosphere? So, if you have read current affairs and you have read the static part both properly and you have revised it, you will be able to understand that this is a concept based question. We have to remove the carbon that has already been emitted. So, carbon capture and storage is one of the techniques to do so. If you're producing anything, but as a result of that, carbon or greenhouse gas is also being emitted, we are increasing the carbon footprint. But by some technology, if I capture the carbon and I store it away so that I can use it for other purposes and then again store it. So this is a capture storage technique for carbon emissions. And while I do so, I will also take out the excessive greenhouse gas from the atmosphere. So first is definitely correct. Second is solar radiation modification. Solar radiation modification is a process in which I will sprinkle some material in the atmosphere in such a manner that the solar radiations do not reach the earth properly or they are reflected back so that the temperature of the earth doesn't rise. Am I removing carbon here? No, because my concept was to remove the excessive carbon that has already been emitted. Here carbon is not being emitted. I am reducing the solar radiation to reach on the surface of the earth. So second is not a technique for it. Then ecosystem based mitigation, yes, this is a nature's based solution. Nature based solution is a solution in which I will use the ecosystem only to help sequester the carbon. For example, if I plant a lot of trees, then what will happen? Those trees will capture or sequester the carbon. Sequester means to capture it and keep it within themselves. So this is, of course, a nature-based solution for removing excessive carbon. The first is there, third is there, not the second one, although it is also a technique to ensure that the temperatures do not rise, right? So first is correct, third is correct, second is not correct. Two only will be the correct answer. Most of you all have answered it correctly. I will take your names by the end of this class. So before I begin with the explanation, I would also tell you to please be a part of our P2I batches. The P2I batches for the 2024 UPSC has already been there, but you can still take admission there. If you're looking for a longer term batch, we are starting our batches from tomorrow onwards. This is a long term batch. That means it is for UPSC 2025. So make sure you become a part of that. Every feature that is there for the P2I 2024 is also available here, although the time is expanded so that you can get the full advantage of it. Okay, so these are evening batches. Make sure you use the code PD Live so that you get it at 35,999 only. Let's move forward. Let's talk about the solutions that are very much prevalent right now in order to ensure that the carbon that we have emitted is sequestered back or is captured and stored away so that it doesn't lead to atmospheric issues. So geoengineering and nature-based solutions, they are a potential option to offset the global impacts of climate change. If we talk about geoengineering, this is a human intervention. We do some sort of innovation in order to take out the excessive carbon that is there, or we try to bring out a solution that will reduce the heat in the atmosphere on the surface of the earth. So geoengineering we have two, such as carbon dioxide removal and solar radiation modification. So these two have been recommended. First is carbon dioxide removal, remove the carbon dioxide, and second is solar radiation modification. We will get through them one by one. Carbon dioxide, when it is emitted as a part of a routine thing that we always do, if we are burning fossil fuels, that is also one of the routine work so that we can get energy. If we are producing, hydrogen, gray hydrogen, then when we capture the carbon emissions and store it away, that becomes blue hydrogen. And this is a very well established technique. However, right now we do not have a lot of potential in India. We are developing it still. Technology transfer is one of the issues. Second is solar radiation modification. It does not affect atmospheric greenhouse gases because we are trying to sprinkle our atmosphere with some sort of material which will ensure that the solar radiation that is coming onto the surface of the earth is modified in such a manner that it doesn't reach the earth, or if it even reaches, the filtering process is there. And that gives rise to another problem. What kind of materials are we using? Who is going to regulate it? And will that material that we are using right now to do the solar radiation modification, what will be the short term as well as the long term impacts of it in the environment? So these are the certain things we have to think about. Nature based solutions are comprising green infrastructure, natural infrastructure, ecological engineering, ecosystem based mitigation, ecosystem based adaptation, and also ecosystem based disaster risk reduction. Next question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1 says the Pir Panjal Range forest hosts interconnected forests which give militants and terrorists a safe haven. Anantnag, Rajouri and Poonch have remained a traditional foothold of the militants and infiltrators. So choose the correct answer using the following codes. See, recently we lost many important lives due to a militant attack in Anantnag. Anantnag is one of the regions which have remained a strong foothold of the militants, partially because of the presence of the Pir Panjal forest and partially because of the nearness to the LOC, and also because of ethnicities. I will go through them one by one. See, Pir Panjal Range forests. Here we have to understand that whatever regions lie to the south of the Pir Panjal forest, they are mostly sheltering militants. Why? Because of the lack of proper area that Pir Panjal has, because the area is so densely forested, it becomes hard to catch militants there. And because of the nearness of certain regions such as Anantnag, Rajouri and Poonch to the Pir Panjal, as they are lying to the south of the Pir Panjal, it becomes hard for the security forces to root out militants because they hide out in the forests that are being hosted by the Pir Panjal range. So that is why first statement is definitely correct and second because of the same is also correct. Now, as we have to choose the correct answer, both the statements are correct and statement 1 actually is the correct explanation of statement 2, because a lot of hideouts are still there in the Pir Panjal range. They either will go back to their sympathizers who reside in the Pir Panjal forest, because the forests are so covered, densely covered, our security forces cannot reach them properly. And if they do reach them, they are attacked in such a manner that they do not have anywhere to go, but the attackers have a high ground and they are very strategically placed. That is why. So first correct, second is correct. Statement 1 is the correct explanation of statement 2. Colonel Manpreet Singh, Major Ashish Donchak and DSP Humayun Magzivil, but they have been martyred because they were a part of a joint team operation in the Gadul forest in the Kokarnag region. Okay, in the Kokarnag region of Anantnag, in the Gadul forest, when they went, because they got some bits and tales about the presence of militants over there. The militants were strategically placed. They were hiding in such a manner beside trees and the bushes that they were able to attack them. However, our security personnel, and they were not able to offend in return. So specifically, as you can see, here are the Pir Panjal ranges, and to the south of it, Srinagar, Anantnag, Rajouri, Jammu and Poonch. As I have mentioned, that because of their ethnicities, that the region shares on either side of the border, it is easy for the terrorist to infiltrate these particular regions of Anantnag, Rajouri, Kulgam, and the security forces are unable to point out which people belong to India and which are foreigners. Alright, so I hope you understood how the south of the Pir Panjal, they pose a security challenge, because some security forces personnel have also pointed out that the region, the Pir Panjal ranges, are like the mountains of Afghanistan, and it becomes hard for the security forces to get into that. Moving on, with respect to Nipah virus, consider the following statements. The animal host reservoir for Nipah virus is the fruit bat, genus Pteropus. NIV is genetically related to Hendra virus, and vaccination for NIV is available for animals but not humans. So what do we have to see? How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Recently, we are witnessing an outbreak again in Kerala. Kerala generally sees these kind of outbreaks in a regular manner. I have also taken a class today. I will take a class and it will be uploaded soon at 8 p.m. Do watch that on studyIQ IAS English. The animal host reservoir for the Nipah virus is the fruit bat, which is also known as flying fox. And its genus is Pteropus. Okay, so first is definitely correct. Why have I written genus? Because UPSC can also ask us about the genus. That is why it is important for you to remember it. I would have written this entire statement as it is. I could have modified the genus. So you have to also remember the genus of it. It is genetically related to Hendra virus. Hendra virus is also carried by bats. And that is why it is very easy to single out the bats as reservoirs. That means they host these virus within them. And when, due to the contamination of certain raw materials by bat urine or excreta, people can get infected if you do not wash them properly before consuming them. Vaccination for Nipah virus or any medicine is not available for either humans or animals. That is why we hear about culling of animals, culling, culling of the animals in order to secure other animals from getting infected, right? So it has a lot of economic ramifications as well. First is correct, second is correct, third is not correct. How many are correct? Two only will be the correct answer. Nipah is a zoonotic disease. That means this disease can jump species. From the species of animals, it has jumped to humans. And thereafter infecting humans, humans will infect other humans. It belongs to the family Paramyxoviridae, also the genus is Nipah virus. The animal host is flying fox or fruit bat. It's genetically related to the Hendra virus, and that is why it is, it was very easy for us to understand how bats can be a carrier or reservoir of so many viruses. It was first discovered in 1998-99 in Malaysia and Singapore respectively, and the outbreak back then resulted in nearly 300 human cases, out of which 100 died. So the case fatality ratio is very high. The more the number of people are being infected, the more deaths we are registering. 1 million pigs were also killed in order to help control the outbreak. Since then, countries in Southeast Asia, specifically Bangladesh and India, have been registering cases. If we talk about India, even West Bengal has registered certain cases in the past of Nipah virus. The transmission is from animals, and this is mainly through the consumption of contaminated food. Sometimes it can also happen. This is very seasonal in nature. If any person wants to harvest fruits or coconuts from palm trees and that area is being roosted by infected bats, they can get infected through that particular process as well. So that is why we see seasonal outbreaks in Kerala. It is known to spread far more slowly than the SARS-CoV-2. But the case fatality ratio and the severity of the disease is very high. Also, we do not have any vaccination as of right now. During the first outbreak in Bengal, Siliguri in 2001, 45 out of 66 were confirmed to be dead. That means the mortality rate was 68%. In the next outbreak in Nadia, all the 5 people who were infected, they died. During the 2018 outbreak in Kerala, 17 of the 18 known patients died. A Nipah infection can cause different problems that can also take us to fatal encephalitis, that is inflammation of the brain, fever, headache, cough, difficulty in breathing, disorientation, seizures, and coma are some of the symptoms. These are less serious, these are more serious. According to WHO, the fatality is between 40 to 75%, which is very high. Moving on, the US Space Force conducted the first launch of a new constellation of early warning satellites designed to track Chinese or Russian spacecraft. This constellation is known as Blue Sky, Silent Barker, Stingy Kangaroo, Happy Faces. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is Silent Barker. Recently, as we see that the North Korean leader has went to Russia, and there he says that he supports in entirety the sacred fight that Russia is fighting against the West. Although he did not mention the invasion of Ukraine, he says that just because Russia wants to ensure its own security, the fight is very sacred. In return, Vladimir Putin has also said that Russia will continue to support North Korea in the development of different missiles, even spy satellites. So these are among an area of major weapon system. As we saw for North Korea, since the West has become very entangled with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, North Korea has ramped up its testing of different missiles, different satellites. So test firing has been registered from the start of 2022 for missiles. Since then, it has gone up to 100, including 2 short-range launches towards the sea. Nuclear doctrine of North Korea says that if the military presumes that there is a threat to the country of North Korea and threat to the leader of North Korea, then of course it can commence preemptive strikes of nuclear nature. Also, Kim has said that the device would allow his forces to use preemptive military forces when the situation demands the spy satellites. US Space Force conducted the first launch recently of a new constellation of early warning satellite, which is designed to track Chinese and Russian spacecraft that could potentially disable or damage orbiting American systems. It is known as Silent Barker. It is situated at 35,000 kilometers, specifically in the geosynchronous orbit, we call it. Okay, and remember that these kind of questions could be very, these kind of news do not occur all of a sudden. But if you go and search for spy satellites, different news piece will come. So we have to make sure that we go through them one by one. Alright, because a question can be asked and that question can be very decisive in nature. Consider the following statements with respect to Operation Polo. There was no common border between Hyderabad and Pakistan, but the Nizam had every intention to have fraternal relations with that country. Hyderabad state forces numbered little less than 25,000, but they were highly trained. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? See, recently on the 13th of September, we observed the anniversary of Operation Polo, and that was a police action in Hyderabad because Hyderabad had a standstill agreement with India, which wanted to ensure that there remains a status quo. It did not want to join either India or Pakistan, but it had every intention that they would relate to Pakistan, they would remain in contact with Pakistan. Now tell me which country which is recently independent, which became recently independent and has already been in a war with Pakistan for Jammu and Kashmir would accept this fact? No country. So we launched Operation Polo back then, and that was dubbed as a police action by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. First statement is correct. The Razakars, which were like militias that were formed in Hyderabad to have a fight with the Indian army. This was a small group, barely 25,000 force. This was that. But they were not at all trained properly. So first is correct, but second is not correct. One only will be the correct answer. Operation Polo was the military action which was launched by the Indian Army on 13 September 1948, and the forces of the Nizam, they surrendered on September 18. The military offensive was dubbed as Police Action by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Nizam of Hyderabad state was Mir Usman Ali Shah, and he wanted to remain an independent entity, did not want to either join India or Pakistan. They signed a standstill agreement for 1 year. India would not have any authority over Hyderabad. But the situations became so dire that we had to, we can say, revise that particular agreement. Hyderabad was one of the most populous and richest states. It also consisted of Aurangabad and Gulbarg. Aurangabad in Maharashtra and Gulbarga is in Karnataka now. And a majority Hindu population used to reside over there. However, the administration was almost entirely Muslims. And there was no common border between Hyderabad and Pakistan. But they had full intentions, Nizam of Hyderabad had full intentions that they would remain in contact with Pakistan. Irregular forces called Razakars, which was led by Major General S.A.L. Adrus, they were ready to fight with the Indian Army. Hyderabad state forces numbered little less than 25,000. However, the Prime Minister of Hyderabad made likely. He said that if the Indian Army will launch an attack, they should be ready to face 1 lakh troops, which was a hollow threat eventually. With respect to the National Judicial Data Grid, choose the incorrect statement. It was built as a part of phase 2 of the e-courts project. The platform has been developed by the E-Committee of the Supreme Court. It also helps identify specific bottlenecks in judicial processes. The data is updated in real time and has granular data up to the taluka level. So we have to choose the incorrect statement. The National Judicial Data Grid is a process towards digitization of the manual records that has been kept of pending cases and the disposed cases. And yes, it is being a part of the e-courts project only, and it was established as a part of phase 2 of the e-courts project. The e-courts project is a scheme of the government that was conceptualized in 2005, and this was to give boost to digitization. It has the first phase, it had the implementation of the first phase in 2007. So please do not get confused between when it was conceptualized and when did the first phase come into being. Third phase has been given an allocation of thousands of crores of rupees so that the third phase can also become operational. It was built as a part of phase 2, yes, of the e-courts project. The platform has been developed by National Informatics Center and not E-Committee of the Supreme Court. So second is incorrect. It does help identify specific bottlenecks in judicial processes, and the data is updated in real time. Real time means as and when it is happening, the data is being updated simultaneously and has granular data up to the taluka level. So first, third and fourth are correct. B is incorrect. The Supreme Court onboarded its case data to the National Judicial Data Grid, which is a national repository of data which pertains to the cases which are instituted, pending and disposed. Up to, if we have to number it, 18,735 district and subordinate courts and high courts data has been put here. An online platform it is under the e-courts project. The key feature is that the data is updated in real time and not like that I am providing the data right now and it is getting uploaded after 10 days. And it has granular data up to the level of taluka. It was built as a part of phase 2. It has been developed by the National Informatics Center through close coordination with in-house software development team of the Computer Cell, Registry of Supreme Court. The litigants can recently access the information regarding these many cases. It helps identify specific bottlenecks in judicial processes. Supposedly, as the CGI and the different monitoring committees will look at the particular data on this repository, and they are seeing that, oh my god, the land cases have sprout up or shoot up so much, there are so many issues with respect to the land, then what will happen? What policies are wrong with respect to the land records? The government will revisit that, maybe the Supreme Court will revisit that, and we will try to smoothen the entire process. With reference to the ports in India, consider the following statements. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Port is a major port located in Maharashtra. Non-major ports are administered by the union government. Major ports have registered less growth than non-major ports for the year 2022-23. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Port is in Kolkata. It's a major port and it is in Kolkata, not Maharashtra. So first statement is incorrect. The non-major ports are being administered by the state government and not the union government. Second is incorrect. Major ports have registered less growth than non-major ports. This is also incorrect. So first is incorrect, second is incorrect, third is also incorrect. How many are correct? D. None are correct. India's major ports handle the highest ever cargo at 795 million tons in 2022-23, which is a 10% increase than the previous year's cargo. We have 12 major ports. Many places you will read 13 major ports, 14 major ports, 15 major ports. We are appearing for a government exam. So I will take all the information from where? Government websites. This particular information has been routed from the Ministry of Ports and Shipping. So until and unless the data gets updated over there, I will stick to 12 ports because UPSC will see the government website only. So India has 12 major ports. You can also visit the website Ministry of Ports and Shipping. You will see that. Deen Dayal is Kandla, which is in Mumbai. Marmugao, which is in New Mangalore. Cochin, Chennai. Ennore, Kamarajar. Tuticorin, then Vishakhapatnam, Paradweep and Kolkata, including Haldia, JNPT, and Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Port in Kolkata. Deen Dayal is also in Kolkata. Jawaharlal Nehru Port and Paradweep have recorded the highest ever cargo, and this is a prelims fact. Remember it. Non-major ports are administered by the state government. Sometimes the state government can also handle them to the private entities. However, the administration remains with the state government. The share of major ports in the total cargo was 54% and non-major ports 46% in fiscal year 2022. The share of major ports rose to 55% and that of non-major ports fell to 45%, and that is why the third statement is incorrect. With respect to M. Visvesaraya, consider the following statements. He received the Padma Vibhushan in 1955. He patented and installed an irrigation system with water floodgates at Khadak Vasla reservoir, that is near Pune, and he was reigned as Diwan of Mysore. So, how many statements given above is or are correct? Now, today is the birth anniversary of popularly known as M. Visvesaraya. His name is Moksha Gundam. Let me see that. Yes, Moksha Gundam. But he is popularly known as M. Visvesaraya. Okay, and he received the Bharat Ratna, not Padma Vibhushan, in 1955. Bharat Ratna it should be instead of it. First is incorrect. He patented and installed an irrigation system because he was a pro-flood management person. And second statement is definitely correct with respect to it. He was reigned as Diwan of Mysore is also correct. Second and third are correct. First is not correct. So 2 only will be the correct answer. Today is also celebrated as Engineers Day. Happy Engineers Day to all of you. And 15 September is to commemorate the birth anniversary of M. Visvesaraya. Popularly, he is known as this, but his actual name is Moksha Gundam Visvesaraya. And Engineers Day is also celebrated in countries such as Sri Lanka and Tanzania on September 15. A major prelims fact, remember it. 1861 is the year in which he was born in a Telugu family at Chikkaballapur, Karnataka. He completed his BA at the University of Madras. Later, he switched and pursued a diploma in civil engineering at the College of Science in Pune. He was recognized for his work in irrigation and flood control. He patented and installed an irrigation system with water floodgates at the Khadak Vasala reservoir, which is in Pune. And M. Visvesaraya was reigned as Diwan of Mysore, where he founded the Bangalore Agriculture University. In 1917, he founded the Government Engineering College in Karnataka, which is now the University of Visvesaraya College of Engineering. He received the Bharat Ratna in 1955. So, next question is a practice question for you all to practice and comment in the comment segment. The introduction of the scheme Amrit Bharat Station Scheme aims to eliminate unmanned level crossings, increase the productivity and efficiency of its employees, to enhance and modernize railway stations throughout Indian Railways network, and all of the above. Answer it correctly. Let me take the names of those students who have answered my last question correctly. So yes, option B was correct. Not all three. I told you some people have answered it wrongly. Two only will be the correct answer. Simran has answered it correctly. Harshit has answered it correctly. Yashjan has answered it correctly. Raj has answered it correctly. No, but you have written solar radiation modification. No, that's not correct. Then Padmashri has answered it correctly. Good. Also, Aditya has answered it correctly. Komal has answered it correctly. Mansi, no, it's B, two only. Then Priyadarshan has answered it correctly. Nikhil has answered it correctly. Omkar has answered it correctly. Vaibhav, good, it's correct. Then Ritu, Shantanu, Abhishek, very good. Abhijit, Sanjay has answered it correctly. Thank you so much for answering the last question. Answer this as well so that I can take your names. Thank you.